Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the enemy ships move closer to Earth. 3 months ago, she had been excited about meeting aliens for the first time. Now, she wished she had never heard of the Galaxy Council. The trouble started on day 1. A massive alien ship had appeared near Jupiter, broadcasting messages in perfect English. The Zephyrian Empire, they called themselves, part of something called the Galaxy Council, that ruled 847 different alien species across the galaxy. At first, it seemed like a dream come true. Humanity was finally joining a galactic community. Then the Zephyrians dropped their bombshell. They claimed the entire Sol system belonged to them. Some old star chart from 10,000 years ago said it was their ancestral territory. Humanity had exactly 1 week to pack up and leave. President Martinez had laughed during the first meeting. "Leave Earth? Are you insane? This is our home. We're not going anywhere." The Zephyrian ambassador, a tall blue creature with too many eyes, had looked confused. "But we have superior technology, superior numbers. All species submit when faced with our power." "Well," President Martinez had said with a cold smile, "you're about to learn that humans are not like other species." That was 3 months ago. 3 months of the most intense preparation in human history. Every factory on Earth switched to making weapons and ships. Every scientist worked day and night to understand alien technology. Every person with military training was called up to serve. The Zephyrians had expected humans to spend those 3 months begging for mercy. Instead, humanity had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Admiral Chen watched the alien fleet approach. 50 massive ships, each one the size of a city. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could stop anything humanity had ever built. At least, that was what the aliens thought. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications station. "The Zephyrians are broadcasting again. Put them on speaker." The bridge filled with the voice of Admiral Krextar, commander of the Zephyrian invasion force. "Primitive humans, you have had time to consider our generous offer. Evacuate your system now, and we will allow you to live on one of our prison worlds." Chen picked up the microphone. "Admiral Krextar, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Navy. I have a counteroffer for you. We do not negotiate with primitives." "Good. Because I'm not negotiating. I'm giving you one chance to turn around and go home. Leave our system now. And we won't destroy every single one of your ships." The alien's laugh sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Foolish creature, you have 50 small ships. We have 50 dreadnoughts. Each of our vessels is worth 10 of yours." Chen smiled. "You're right. Your ships are bigger, stronger, more advanced." She paused. "Too bad you're fighting humans." The Zephyrian fleet opened fire first. Beams of energy that could melt mountains struck the human defense line. 3 human destroyers vanished in balls of fire. On any other day, against any other enemy, it would have been a massacre. But humans had learned something important about alien technology during those 3 months of preparation. The aliens built everything to be perfect. Their shields stopped energy weapons completely. Their armor could resist any known projectile. Their ships were designed to fight other aliens who followed the same rules. Humans didn't follow rules. "All fighters, launch attack pattern Delta," Chen ordered. "Remember, these aliens have never fought anyone who was willing to die to win." 200 human fighters launched from hidden positions throughout the solar system. They were tiny compared to the alien dreadnoughts. But they moved like angry wasps around elephants, and they carried weapons that no alien had ever seen before. The first human torpedo hit the Zephyrian flagship directly in its shield generator. The weapon wasn't made of metal or energy. It was a solid chunk of Earth's iron core, accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed by magnetic launchers built into asteroids. The alien shields, designed to stop energy, might as well have been made of paper. Admiral Krextar watched in shock as his ship's shields collapsed. "Impossible. No species uses kinetic weapons at those velocities. The power requirements alone should." His words were cut off as 5 more kinetic torpedoes punched through his ship's hull. The flagship of the Zephyrian fleet, pride of their empire, broke apart like a child's toy. All human ships, target their shield generators. Chen broadcast. Show them what happens when you threaten our home. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in thousands of years. Alien dreadnoughts fell one by one to weapons that shouldn't have worked. Human fighters rammed alien ships when their ammunition ran out. Human captains used their own vessels as shields to protect damaged allies. And through it all, more human ships kept arriving. Hidden bases throughout the solar system launched waves of reinforcements. Humanity had spent 3 months not just building weapons, but building them in places the aliens would never think to look. Admiral Krextar's second-in-command approached him as their ship shook under human fire. "Sir, we've lost 30 ships. Request permission to retreat and regroup." "Retreat? We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 100 worlds." Another explosion rocked the ship. "These humans are just primitives." "Sir, with respect, these primitives have destroyed more than half our fleet." As if to prove his point, another Zephyrian dreadnought exploded in the distance. Human fighters swarmed around it like predators finishing off wounded prey. The Galaxy Council's voice suddenly filled every ship in the system. "Primitive species Earth-human, cease hostilities immediately. You are outmatched. Submit to Council authority and minimize casualties." Admiral Chen picked up her microphone one more time. Her voice was calm and steady, but everyone who heard it could feel the iron beneath the words. "Galaxy Council, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Navy. You want us to cease fire? Here's our answer." She paused, watching another alien ship fall to human weapons. "We're just getting warmed up." The message echoed across the galaxy, carried by alien communication networks to every world in Council space. On 1,000 different planets, aliens heard humanity's first words to their galactic community, and on every one of those worlds, some aliens began to wonder what kind of species they had just declared war on. High Counselor Vex Tai of the Etherian Collective stared at the battle reports scattered across her desk. Each one told the same impossible story. The Zephyrian Empire, one of the Galaxy Council's founding members, had lost 37 dreadnoughts to a species that had only discovered faster-than-light travel 3 months ago. "This cannot be accurate," she said to her aide, a nervous young Tellurian whose scales were turning pale with stress. "Run the numbers again." "I've run them 6 times, High Counselor. The results don't change. 37 Zephyrian dreadnoughts destroyed. Human losses minimal." Vex Tai's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep confusion among her people. In 3,000 years of galactic history, she had never seen a battle report like this. Warfare among Council species was civilized. Careful. Ships would exchange fire at safe distances. When one side proved superior, the other would surrender with honor. Casualties were usually in the dozens, not the thousands. "How are they doing this?" she asked. "The humans have inferior technology. Smaller ships, no experience in space combat." Her aide pulled up a tactical analysis on the wall screen. "Our experts believe the humans are using kinetic weapons, High Counselor. Solid projectiles accelerated to extreme velocities." "Kinetic weapons?" Vex Tai couldn't hide her disgust. "How barbaric. No civilized species has used such crude tools in millennia. That may be why they're effective, High Counselor. Our shield technology is designed to stop energy weapons and guided missiles. It was never intended to handle chunks of metal moving at relativistic speeds." Vex's Tai stood and walked to the window of her office, looking out at the peaceful gardens of the Council headquarters. Every species that had joined the Galaxy Council had followed the same pattern. They developed advanced technology, learned to live in peace with their neighbors, and eventually grew beyond the need for violence. "What do we know about human psychology?" she asked. The aide nervously consulted his datapad. "That's concerning, High Counselor. According to our research teams, humans evolved on what they call a death world. High gravity, unstable weather, frequent natural disasters. Their planet seems designed to kill them. And this affected their development how? They became aggressive, High Counselor, competitive. Their entire history is one long series of wars. They've been fighting each other for 10,000 years. Vextai felt a chill run down her spine. Most species stopped fighting once they developed advanced weapons. Realizing that war had become too dangerous, they kept fighting even after developing nuclear weapons. They fought harder, High Counselor. They built enough nuclear weapons to destroy their planet several times over. Then, they kept building more. The High Counselor sat down heavily in her chair. What kind of species does that? Before her aide could answer, the door chimed. Admiral Thorak of the Dominion entered without waiting for permission. His usually perfect uniform was wrinkled and stained. His face showed the exhaustion of someone who hadn't slept in days. High Counselor, he said, his voice tight with stress. We need to talk. Vextai dismissed her aide with a gesture. When they were alone, she studied the Admiral's face. You've been in contact with the human prisoners. One prisoner, a scientist named Kepler. He was captured during our raid on their research station near Mars. Quote, and Admiral Thorak pulled out a recording device. I think you need to hear this yourself. The device activated, filling the room with a human voice. Dr. Kepler sounded tired but not defeated. His words were clear and calm. You want to understand humans? I'll tell you about humans. We're the species that looked at fire and decided to control it. We saw the ocean and built boats to cross it. We found diseases that killed millions of us, and we didn't hide from them. We studied them until we could cure them. Thorak paused the recording. He went on like this for hours, High Counselor. Their entire history is one long story of impossible challenges that they simply refuse to accept as impossible. Continue the recording. Kepler's voice resumed. You made one mistake in all of this. Just one. But it's a big one. You threatened our home. You told us to leave the place where our children are born, where our ancestors are buried, where every human who ever lived drew their first breath. The recording fell silent for a moment. When Kepler spoke again, his voice carried a weight that made Vextai's skin crawl. Let me explain something about human psychology that your databases probably missed. We're persistence hunters. On our world, we weren't the biggest or strongest predators. We couldn't run the fastest or fly or breathe underwater, but we could do one thing better than any other species on Earth. We never gave up. We would chase prey for days, weeks if necessary. Other predators would run until they were tired, then rest. Humans would keep coming. Always. Forever. Until the prey collapsed from exhaustion, or turned to fight and died. Admiral Thorak stopped the recording. He said that humans once hunted mammoths by following them until the mammoths died of exhaustion. Creatures 10 times their size with natural weapons. But humans just kept coming. Vextai stared at the silent recording device. What else did he tell you? That this war isn't about territory or resources for them. It's about survival. And humans have been surviving impossible situations for their entire evolutionary history. Thorak's hands shook as he put the device away. High Counselor, I've been fighting wars for 200 years. I've conquered 17 star systems for the Dominion, and I'm telling you now, these humans scare me. Scare you? They're primitives. No. Thorak shook his head. We're the primitives. We've been living in peace for so long that we've forgotten how to really fight. These humans, they remember. It's in their blood. Vextai walked back to the window, looking out at the peaceful gardens. For the first time in her long life, that peace felt fragile. What are you suggesting, Admiral? I'm suggesting we send the Third Fleet. 300 ships, everything we have available. 300 ships against 50 human vessels? Thorak met her eyes. High Counselor, I don't think 300 will be enough. 2 hours later, the Galaxy Council voted unanimously to deploy the Third Fleet to human space. As the massive armada prepared to depart, Vextai reviewed Dr. Kepler's final words from the interrogation. You govern 847 species, but you've never faced one that was born to fight. We didn't evolve on paradise worlds under gentle suns. We clawed our way up from the bottom of the food chain on a planet that tried to kill us every day. War isn't a failure of diplomacy for us. It's Tuesday. Vextai closed the file and sent an encrypted message to Admiral Thorak. Extreme caution authorized. These humans may be more dangerous than we realized. The Rend, God. With not. The Rend. We about watch. She didn't yet know how right she was. Captain Marcus Torres checked his instrument panel one last time as the Third Fleet approached Earth's outer defenses. 300 alien ships filled his view screen, each one larger and more heavily armed than anything humanity had faced before. But Marcus wasn't looking at the enemy fleet. He was studying the space around it, searching for the perfect spot to appear. Icarus Squadron, final systems check, he said into his headset. Remember, we get one shot at this. The quantum tunnel drives are still experimental. Copy that, Captain, came the voice of Lieutenant Sarah Kim. All systems green. Ready to make some aliens very unhappy. Marcus smiled despite the danger. 3 weeks ago, Dr. Elena Vasquez had made a breakthrough that changed everything. While studying captured alien technology, she discovered something impossible hidden in the mathematics of their faster-than-light drives. The aliens moved through space by folding it, creating tunnels between distant points. But their version was slow and predictable. It required massive amounts of energy and could only work along specific routes. Human scientists had taken one look at the alien design and asked a very human question. What if we do it wrong on purpose? Instead of creating stable tunnels, human engineers built drives that could punch temporary holes in space-time itself. It was dangerous, unstable, and violated every safety protocol the aliens had established over thousands of years. In other words, it was perfect for humans. All ships. This is Admiral Chen, came the voice from Earth Command. Third Fleet is entering our defensive perimeter. Torres, you're clear for Operation Surprise Party. Understood, Admiral. Icarus Squadron. Activate quantum tunnels on my mark. Marcus took a deep breath. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The universe seemed to hiccup around Marcus's fighter. One moment he was hiding behind Jupiter's largest moon. The next he was directly above the Third Fleet's command ship. 11 other human fighters materialized around him, having appeared from nowhere in perfect formation. Admiral Thorak of the Dominion was reviewing battle plans when his ship's alarm started screaming. Report! He shouted over the noise. Sir, enemy contacts directly above us. 12 fighters. Range 0. That's impossible. Our sensors would have detected. His words were cut off as human weapons fire raked across his ship's hull. The fighters were using the same kinetic weapons that had destroyed the Zephyrian fleet, but these were smaller, faster, and fired in coordinated volleys that overwhelmed the ship's point defenses. How did they get here? Thorak demanded. We have the entire area under surveillance. Unknown, sir. They just appeared. Meanwhile, Marcus and his squadron were already diving toward their next target. The aliens were trying to respond, but their massive ships were too slow to track fighters that could teleport from one location to another in seconds. Kim, take your flight and hit their communications array, Marcus ordered. Rodriguez, target the shield generators. Remember, we're not trying to destroy these ships. We're trying to make them afraid. The human attack was perfectly coordinated chaos. Fighters would appear from nowhere, strike critical systems, then vanish before the aliens could respond. Each attack was precisely targeted to cause maximum confusion with minimum casualties. On Earth, Dr. Vasquez was making another breakthrough in her laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. She had been studying human DNA samples alongside alien genetic databases, looking for clues about human evolution. What she found changed her understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy. Admiral Chen, you need to see this, she said over the secure communication line. Chen's face appeared on the lab's main screen. Behind her, the sounds of battle could be heard from the space above Earth. Make it quick, Doctor. We're kind of busy up here. Admiral, I've been analyzing human genetic markers against the alien database. We're not from Earth. Chen paused. Come again? Humans are not native to Earth. Our DNA contains markers that match samples from a species called the precursors. They existed 50,000 years ago and seeded dozens of worlds with genetic material before they disappeared. You're saying we're aliens? I'm saying we're the children of the galaxy's first civilization. The precursors were master geneticists. They designed us to be adaptable, aggressive, and innovative. We're not just another species, Admiral. We're the inheritors of the galaxy's oldest and most advanced race. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Above Earth, Marcus and his squadron were making their fourth attack run against the Third Fleet. Doctor, are you telling me that humans have a legitimate claim to this galaxy? I'm telling you that we have a better claim than anyone else. The precursors built the first faster-than-light drives. They established the first interstellar trade routes. And according to this genetic data, they specifically designed humans to reclaim their legacy when we were ready. Back in space, Admiral Thorak was learning firsthand why the Zephyrians had lost so badly. Human fighters continued to appear and disappear around his fleet. Worse, they were doing things that should have been impossible. Human weapons were channeling energy in ways that violated known physics. Their armor was somehow deflecting direct hits from alien energy weapons. Their fighters were moving in patterns that should have torn them apart from gravitational stress. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we've lost 43 ships. Our remaining vessels are requesting permission to retreat. Thorak stared at his battle display in disbelief. The Third Fleet was the pride of the Galaxy Council. These ships had conquered star systems. They had never been defeated in open battle. Sir, incoming transmission from the human fleet. Put it through. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen. She looked calm and professional, as if she were discussing the weather instead of commanding a battle that was reshaping galactic politics. Admiral Thorak, this is Admiral Chen. I'm calling to offer you the same chance we gave the Zephyrians. Turn around and go home. No one else has to die today. You think you've won? Thorak tried to keep the fear out of his voice. This is only one fleet. The Galaxy Council has thousands of ships. Chen nodded. You're absolutely right. Send them all if you want. But understand what you're really doing. You're not fighting a primitive species anymore. You're fighting the descendants of the precursors. And we're just getting started. The transmission ended. Admiral Thorak looked around his damaged command center, then at the tactical display showing human fighters dancing between his ships like ghosts. All ships, he said quietly. Prepare to retreat. The Third Fleet limped away from Earth's solar system, leaving behind 90 destroyed vessels and the shattered remains of their reputation. As they fled, Marcus Torres and his squadron regrouped near Earth. Not bad for a day's work, Lieutenant Kim said over the radio. Think they'll be back? Marcus looked at the retreating alien fleet, then at Earth, hanging blue and beautiful in the distance. Oh, they'll be back. But next time, they'll know what they're really up against. On Earth, Admiral Chen stood in her command center, watching the alien fleet retreat. Dr. Vasquez's discovery had changed everything. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to reclaim their birthright as the children of the galaxy's first civilization. And they were very good at fighting. 6 months after the war began, fear spread through Galaxy Council space like a disease. On the peaceful world of Kepler 442, citizens gathered around public screens to watch the latest news broadcast. The image showed a Dominion military base, or what was left of it. Twisted metal and smoking ruins stretched across the landscape. The attack occurred at 0300 local time, the news anchor reported, her voice carefully controlled. Human raiders struck the facility, destroyed all military equipment, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. No civilian casualties were reported. In the crowd, a young Etherian named Zektar turned to his friend. How did they get past 3 defensive fleets? Kepler 442b is 500 light-years from human space. His friend, a Tellurian engineer, shook her head. Nobody knows. Human ships just appear out of nowhere now. They could be anywhere. That same day, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Human raiders had struck deep into Council space, hitting military targets with surgical precision. But their psychological warfare was even more effective than their physical attacks. On every world they visited, humans left behind data packets. Not threats, but lessons. Historical recordings showing humanity's greatest conflicts, scientific achievements made under impossible pressure, and always the same simple message. This is what happens when you threaten our children. High Counselor Vex Tai sat in her private office, reviewing intelligence reports that grew more disturbing each day. The humans weren't just winning battles anymore. They were changing the very nature of galactic politics. "Enter," she called when her door chimed. Admiral Thorak stepped inside, looking older than his years. The defeat of the Third Fleet had broken something in him. "High Counselor, we have a problem. Another human attack? Worse. 3 member species have withdrawn from the war effort entirely. The Centauri Republic, the Vegan Alliance, and the Outer Rim Federation. They're all citing concerns about the conflict's direction." Vex Tai set down her datapad. "They're afraid. Can you blame them? The humans have hit targets in each of their territories. But they're not using brute force. They're being selective." "Explain." Thorak activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked every human attack over the past 6 months. "Look at the pattern. They only target military installations. They avoid civilian populations entirely. When they encounter alien ships, they disable rather than destroy when possible. And this frightens our allies. How? Because it shows they could do worse if they wanted to. Every attack is a demonstration of capability, not malice. They're proving they can reach anywhere in Council space while maintaining the moral high ground." Vex Tai studied the display. "What about their recruitment efforts?" Thorak's expression darkened. "That's the real problem. The humans are actually recruiting our own people." He changed the display to show a different set of data. The Uridian Mining Collective. Oppressed by the Dominion for 300 years, the humans offered them technology and protection in exchange for alliance. They agreed. 1 minor species. It's not just one. The Altarian refugees, the Procyon colony ships, even some of our own border worlds are negotiating with human representatives. They're offering something we never have. Which is equality. The humans treat their alien allies as equals. They share technology freely. They give them seats at their command tables. It's... Thorak paused, struggling for words. "It's revolutionary." Vex Tai walked to her window, looking out at the carefully maintained gardens of the Council headquarters. For 3,000 years, the Galaxy Council had maintained order through a strict hierarchy. Each species knew its place. The strong ruled, the weak served. It had brought peace to the galaxy. Now humans were proposing something completely different. "Show me the latest intercepted communications," she ordered. Thorak activated a recording device. The voice that emerged was human, speaking to a group of alien rebels on a distant world. "We know what it's like to be underestimated," the human was saying. "For centuries, we fought among ourselves while dreaming of the stars. Then we got out here and found a galaxy that told us to know our place. Well, here's what we learned. Your place is wherever you're strong enough to stand." The recording continued. "We're not asking you to become human. We're asking you to become free. Fight beside us, not because we're your masters, but because we're your friends." Vex Tai turned off the recording. "How many worlds have heard messages like this? Hundreds, maybe thousands. The humans have established hidden broadcast stations throughout Council space. Their stealth technology makes them nearly impossible to detect. And the response?" Thorak hesitated. "Civil unrest on 47 worlds. Open rebellion on 12. The populations are questioning why we started this war and demanding peace negotiations." A new alarm chimed from Vex Tai's desk. She activated the secure communication system to find the face of Counselor Yex Van of the Andromedan Syndicate. His usually calm demeanor was cracked with stress. "Hi, Counselor. We need an emergency session. Now." "What's happened?" The humans just broadcast a message on every communication frequency in the galaxy. Every world under Council control received it simultaneously. Vex's tie felt ice form in her stomach. "Show me." The message appeared on her wall screen. Admiral Chen's face looked out from every display in Council space, speaking directly to billions of aliens. "People of the galaxy," she began. "6 months ago, your leaders declared war on humanity because we refused to abandon our home. Since then, we've shown that humans don't surrender. We don't kneel. We don't accept that might makes right." The image shifted to show human and alien crews working side by side on a space station. "But we've also shown that we don't have to be enemies. The Euridians, the Altarians, the Procyon refugees, they've all chosen to stand with us as equals, not as servants, not as subjects, but as partners." Chen's face returned to the screen. "We're offering the same choice to everyone listening. Your leaders started this war, but it doesn't have to continue. We're not asking you to betray your worlds or abandon your homes. We're asking you to demand better from those who claim to rule you." The message ended with coordinates, locations where any alien could make contact with human representatives. Counselor Yexvan's worried face reappeared. "Hi, Counselor. We're receiving reports that the coordinates are being accessed from thousands of worlds. Our own people are reaching out to the humans." Vextai closed the communication and turned to Admiral Thorak. "Your honest assessment. Can we win this war? Can we win this war?" Thorak was quiet for a long moment. "Hi, Counselor. I've been thinking about something Dr. Kepler said during his interrogation. He told us that humans once hunted creatures 10 times their size by simply never giving up. They would follow their prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. And I think we're the prey now. Every attack, every message, every alien who joins them makes us weaker while they get stronger. They're not trying to destroy us quickly. They're wearing us down." Vextai sat down heavily. "Then what do you suggest?" "I suggest we do something that the Galaxy Council has never done in 3,000 years of history." "Which is?" Thorak met her eyes. "I suggest we negotiate. Because if we don't, these humans might actually win. And if they do, they won't just defeat us. They'll replace everything we've built with something completely different." Vextai looked out at her peaceful gardens one more time. For the first time in her life, she wondered if peace built on submission was really peace at all. "Schedule an emergency session of the full council," she said quietly. "It's time to discuss terms." But even as she spoke, she wondered if it was already too late. The humans had done something that no species in galactic history had managed. They had made the Galaxy Council afraid. And fear, she was learning, was a very dangerous thing in the hands of humans. The message reached every corner of human space simultaneously. High Counselor Vextai's image appeared on screens from Earth to the farthest human outpost, her 4 eyes showing the exhaustion of someone who had run out of options. "Admiral Chen of the Human Forces," she began, her voice carrying the weight of 3,000 years of galactic authority. "The Galaxy Council extends an offer of final negotiation. Meet us at the galactic core in 7 days, or face the consequences." Admiral Chen stood in her command center aboard the UES Defiance, surrounded by human and alien officers working side by side. 6 months of war had changed everything. Her fleet now included ships from dozens of species who had chosen humanity's vision of freedom over the Council's promise of order. "What do we know about this consequence they're threatening?" she asked. Dr. Vasquez pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy's center. "According to the Euridian databases, there's something called the World Breaker, hidden in the core systems. Ancient precursor technology that the Council inherited. What does it do? It destroys star systems. Completely. The Council has only used it twice in recorded history, both times to end wars before they could spread. They're essentially threatening to destroy Sol, unless we surrender." Captain Torres, recently promoted to Admiral after his success with the quantum tunnel drives, shook his head. "They're bluffing. Even the Council wouldn't destroy an entire star system just to win a war." "They would," said Commander Yextal, a former Council officer who had defected to the human cause. "I've seen the records. When the Scorpion Rebellion threatened Council authority 800 years ago, they used the Worldbreaker to destroy the rebels' home system. 5 billion lives ended in a single moment. The bridge fell silent. Chen stared at the star chart, her mind racing through possibilities. How long would it take to evacuate Earth? Ma'am? Torres looked shocked. You're not seriously considering. How long? Dr. Vasquez ran quick calculations. To evacuate the entire population? 6 months, minimum. And that's only if we had somewhere to take them. Chen nodded slowly. Then we don't evacuate. We do something else. She turned to her communications officer. Send a message to every human ship in the fleet. Full mobilization. We're going to the galactic core. Ma'am, that's suicide, Torres protested. The core systems are heavily defended. They'll have every ship the Council can muster, waiting for us. Chen smiled, but there was no humor in it. They're expecting us to come begging for mercy or fighting to the death. We're going to do something they'll never see coming. 7 days later, the two greatest fleets in galactic history faced each other at the edge of the Milky Way's core. The Galaxy Council had assembled over 2,000 ships, representatives of every member species. Behind them, hidden among the dense star fields, waited the Worldbreaker. A massive construct that looked more like a space station than a weapon. Admiral Chen's fleet was smaller but more diverse. Human ships flew alongside vessels from 40 different species who had chosen to stand against Council authority. As the fleets approached each other, every being in both armadas understood that the next few hours would determine the future of galactic civilization. High Counselor Vextai opened communications from her flagship. Admiral Chen, you have seen our assembled might. You know what weapon we possess. I offer you one final chance to surrender with honor. Chen's response carried across space to both fleets. High Counselor, I have a counter-proposal. Look around you. As if on cue, human ships throughout the core region activated their transponders. The quantum tunnel drives that had allowed them to appear behind enemy fleets during the war had been working overtime. Human vessels now surrounded every major Council world in the core systems. You want to use the Worldbreaker to destroy Sol? Chen continued. Go ahead. But understand what happens next. Every ship you see right now is positioned as a shield around one of your own worlds. If you destroy our home, you'll have to destroy yours too. The communication channel filled with the sound of shocked gasps from Council representatives. On the display screens of both fleets, the tactical situation became clear. Humanity had positioned itself as a human shield around the most important worlds in Council space. This is madness. Admiral Thorax's voice cut through the confusion. You're threatening billions of innocent lives. No, Chen replied calmly. You are. We're just making sure you understand the true cost of your decisions. High Counselor Vextai stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How did you move so many ships without our detection? The same way we've been fighting this war, by refusing to accept that things are impossible. Chen paused. High Counselor, I propose we end this standoff with actual negotiations, real ones, between equals. The Galaxy Council does not negotiate with primitives. Then the Galaxy Council is about to learn a very expensive lesson about underestimating primitives. The standoff continued for 6 tense hours. Council ships moved to intercept the human vessels around their worlds, only to discover that more humans appeared for every one they displaced. Humanity had spent months preparing for this moment, building hidden bases and stockpiling ships throughout Council space. Finally, Vextai called for a private communication with Chen. The two leaders faced each other across the void, the fate of the galaxy hanging between them. What do you want? Vextai asked, exhaustion clear in her voice. I want to stop fighting, Chen replied honestly. I want my people to live in peace. But we won't accept peace through submission. We want a real voice in galactic affairs. The Council structure has maintained order for 3,000 years. Your Council structure created a galaxy where 47 species live as second-class citizens and 12 others are in open rebellion. That's not order, High Counselor. That's oppression with good marketing. Vextai was quiet for a long moment. What are you proposing? A new structure. Equal representation for all species. Decisions made by consensus, not decree. Technology and resources shared freely, instead of hoarded by the powerful. That's chaos. Without clear authority, the galaxy will tear itself apart. Chen leaned forward. High Counselor. Humans spent 10,000 years tearing themselves apart. Then we learned something important. You don't need someone on top to have order. You just need everyone to agree on the rules. The negotiation that followed lasted 3 days. Representatives from every species met on a neutral space station hastily constructed for the purpose. Humans, with their alien allies, presented a radical new vision for galactic civilization. Instead of the rigid hierarchy of the old council, they proposed a confederation of equals. Each species would maintain sovereignty over their own territory, while participating in joint decisions affecting the galaxy as a whole. Technology would be shared freely. No species could claim ownership of others' worlds. The debates were heated. Many council species feared losing their privileged positions. But the alternative was clear. Continued war with an enemy that had proven it couldn't be beaten through traditional means. In the end, it was Dr. Vasquez's genetic research that tipped the balance. Her evidence that humans were descendants of the precursors gave them a legitimate claim to galactic leadership that even the oldest council species couldn't dispute. The precursors built this civilization, she explained to the assembled delegates. They designed humans to reclaim it when the time was right. We're not asking you to submit to us. We're asking you to join us in building something better. The Treaty of Sol was signed on a beautiful Earth morning, with representatives from over 400 species present. The old Galaxy Council was dissolved, replaced by the Galactic Confederation. Each species received equal representation regardless of size or military power. High Counselor Vex Tai, now simply Counselor Vex Tai, approached Admiral Chen after the signing ceremony. I have to ask, she said quietly. Would you really have let us destroy Sol to prove your point? Chen looked out at Earth hanging blue and peaceful in the distance. We would have fought until the last human was gone. But destroy Sol ourselves? Never. That's not who we are. Vex Tai nodded slowly. I'm beginning to understand what Dr. Kepler meant. You really don't know how to surrender. No, Chen agreed. But we're very good at learning how to win. 5 years later, Admiral Chen stood in the same spot, watching alien children play with human children in the rebuilt Luna colony. The galaxy was still adjusting to its new reality, but the changes were undeniable. Former council species were innovating at rates unseen for millennia. The free exchange of ideas and technology had sparked a renaissance of discovery. Most importantly, the dozens of small species that had lived under council oppression were finally free to determine their own destinies. When asked by a young reporter if she ever regretted the war, Chen smiled. Regret? We were just getting warmed up. Now we can show the galaxy what humans can really do when we're working together instead of fighting. The camera panned to show the thriving colony around them. Humans and aliens building something new together. In the distance, ships from 100 worlds came and went freely, carrying goods, ideas, and dreams across a galaxy that had finally learned what freedom really meant. Humanity had kept its promise. They had shown the galaxy what happened when you threatened their home. But more importantly, they had shown what could happen when different species chose to stand together as equals. And that, as it turned out, was the most human thing of all.